So, Dr. Cox, what have you found recently about the largest religious groups in major American cities?
Well, this is actually a fun analysis that we did looking at the religious composition of some of the largest metro areas in the US. Because we're expecting there to be a fair amount of diversity, but what we found was actually that two, I guess if you call it religious groups, really dominated much of America's metro landscape. And they were Catholics and the religiously unaffiliated. Catholics have tended to be very prevalent in many metro areas going way back. So that wasn't so surprising. But what is more surprising, you're seeing a rise of the religiously unaffiliated in these metro areas. To give you an example, in Portland, it's Portland, Oregon, 42% of the people in that metro area are religiously unaffiliated, and that's something that's kind of new.
Do you have any ideas about what is about big cities that make it a strong Catholic presence there?
So I think going back, you have to, again, look at sort of the history of immigration. Cities tended to be much more welcoming to immigrants, and sort of the whole Catholic community sort of really helped immigrants settle in.
And when you bring in other religions, how are they stacking up against, I guess, the largest Christian groups and the unaffiliated?
Well, overall, if you look at the pattern of religious change and growth in the U.S., there's really only one group that is, seeing its market share increase dramatically versus, existing religious groups, and that's the religiously unaffiliated. And that sort of composite group has increased pretty dramatically over the last couple decades. So for me, what seems the most likely outcome, at least in the near future, is you'll see an increasing number of people who are unaffiliated, but a strong religious presence in the country overall and in many of these urban centers.
One of the comments from, I think, a researcher or someone who studies this was indicated they felt that this would hurt charitable giving or certain values that support philanthropy, as a lot of that comes from religious groups. Is this something that your institute has studied at all, or are you looking at that or other effects of a rise of unaffiliated people?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question on what the sort of social, political, civic impact will be of this increasing number of people who are unaffiliated. There's been a lot of work that has found that people who are unaffiliated tend to be less sort of socially or civically engaged in general. So it's really important to foster, churches are really important to sort of foster that kind of broader social and civic commitment. So there's some concern about what will happen with these people who are sort of not engaged in the institutions. I'm in more of a wait and see mode, because we also know that the unaffiliated are much more likely to be young, and when people sort of get older, when they get married and have kids and buy a house, they tend to re-engage a little bit. And so I think, I'm not as concerned as perhaps other people are that, we're going to see a sort of dramatic decline in political or civic participation. One of the things I'm most interested in is looking at sort of the broader cultural impact. Issues like same-sex marriage or abortion or even immigration reform, marijuana legalization. And, a lot of these issues, there are stark religious divides. And what will happen, when the unaffiliated get to a certain threshold and increasingly become involved in politics.
The growth of the religiously unaffiliated looks to transform the American political landscape in the years to come. But the predominance of Catholics in most of our major cities will continue to have a major impact. Reporting for Currents, I'm Conrad Aderer.